Hello and welcome to Collector's Corner, and a little video that I've just put together of some of my die casts from Corgi, Matchbox and Dinky. I thought I'd like to finally show you those rather than take photographs, and just to explain a little bit of history behind some of the pieces that are in this impressive glass cabinet here. There's quite a number of drag race funny cars here that I've collected over the years. Lots of memorabilia, lots of badges and pins as well, a few model items, some that you will recognise, some that you might not, and slowly I'll try and get down, and so you can see some of my Formula 1 cars, some classic racing cars that I've collected over the years, and also the NASCARs right on the lower level there. But we'll go up to the top, because up to the top of the cabinet are a number of trophies that some of you may have seen at the recent British Drag Racing Hall of Fame display at Dragstalgia this year, but some you might not. This one is from the very first drag meet that was held September the 9th, 1973, as you can see, at Long Marston, when it was just known as Long Marston Aerodrome. This was an NDRC event, and Dad won the middle dragster competition, the eliminator that was going on that day. It was a bit drafty, it was a bit damp and a bit cold, but nevertheless the old BMC powered dragster got through to the final. I don't know who he beat because it's not mentioned in the reports, unfortunately, but somebody might know out there. You never know. There was quite a few well-known racers that around at that time in 1973. But there's another trophy here that we particularly like to feature. This one is the NDRC Hot Car Radio Luxembourg Grand National winning trophy from Blackbush. And once again, Dad won the middle dragster competition there as well. But sadly, the reports don't actually list the runners-up. I haven't actually found a report as of yet, but as I've said, maybe that will be forthcoming after this video. That's a bit of an unusual one, that behind there. That's the DJ and Radio Monthly middle dragster trophy win that Dad picked up in 1973. The publication ran two events at Santa Pod Raceway, 73 and 74 as sponsorship, and we've kept that one in the collection because it's rather unusual, being I think it's Perspex that it's moulded out of, but it's very collectible, I would imagine, because I wouldn't think there'd be too many of those in existence these days. Now this little beauty here, and I say little because it is little, as you can see, this was recently given to me by former Long Marston Avon Park commentator Mike Matthews for his win in 1980 at the model drag racing that we used to go on at some of the custom car shows. This was done, I think, at Ali Pali in 1980 through the National Drag Racing Club and the Humberstone Drag Racing Club. This is when the guys used to modify their 1/16 Revell plastic dragsters, and they used to make brass chassis, use the original engines, and put some very quick electric motors in a purpose-built racetrack. And I think Mike won the Funny Car Championship on that particular occasion, and he thought it would be nice for myself to have that in the collection. So that's why that one's up there. Now this one I'm just going to get down now, it's quite heavy, is I don't think you can see the inscription on there. No, because it's too much reflection. But it is for the National Drag Racing Club Sportsman of the Year Award. Now this was awarded from 1971, where we see Dennis Priddle was the first recipient of this trophy, and we spin it all the way around to 1986, and it was in the possession of Andy Robinson. So we'll move on through. Says he, trying to tap a tune out of it. 72, comp bike racer Tony Whedon won the award. Then Ivan Fryer with Ivan the Terrible, when he used to race a very quick production Mustang. George Davey, who could forget George Davey with the gas-powered pub crawler dragster. Norm Wilden, he picked it up in 75. Dave Page in 1976, along with his brothers Gary and Clive. Then we got some more bike racers, Chris Haverley and Brian Pickford. They won it 77, 78. Mike Fawcett for all the work that he did behind the scenes with NDRC Midlands and the building of Long Marston Raceway in 79 and 80. Tony Berry, he was the intrepid driver of Liquidator. Stevie Woollett won it in 1981, because Steve still very much in the forefront of Top Fuel Bike. George Greatholder, he won it in 1982 with the George and the Dragon Rover Power comp altered that used to be frontline video of Andy Craddock. Bob West of Slick Willie fame, he won it. Then the late Arthur Bonner in 1984 with Detroit Spinner. The LA hooker of Rod Pallant. Rod soon to be inducted into the British Drag Racing Hall of Fame. He won it in 85. And finishing off with Andy Robinson with his award at 1986 with Street Elite. Remember that little group that used to race on a regular basis at Santa Pod and Long Marston over the years. So right at the back there, and I can't actually reach it, is the those very celebrated Christmas trees that much missed track prep expert Dave Rowlands put together for some of the presentations that we made at the Warwick Hilton in the formative years of the racetrack. And I think he made about 16 or 20 of these each year, and they're very much collected by various people over the years. And yeah, it's a great little memento to have. And there's another trophy right at the back that I can't quite reach. That is the John Brown Wheels Pro Comp Championship Winners Trophy from either 78 or 79. I think Liz Byrne, obviously now known as Liz Rowland, won this with the Lizard Dragster at Long Marston, because John Brown Wheels, based in Warwick, were quite a prominent wheel manufacturer of their day in the late 70s going into the 80s, and they sponsored the whole series of events at Long Marston Raceway along with the Pro Comp Championship. So that's nice to have in the collection. And then right at the back is, if I can just let's see if I can pan out the right way. Getting used to this camera, even though it's not mine. This is the Trackfest LP that was put out by Stanley Schofield. Hence why it's called Sound Stories. And this was a complete record of the British Drag Racing International Drag Festival of 1964, organised by the British Drag Racing Association. So it's nice to have that in the collection that I recently picked up. And I've got the cassette version that's in another cabinet, along with a CD version as well. So it's always nice just to play that now and again, and just relive those golden moments when the day's a little bit dreary and it just excites you hearing all those sounds of the 60s with George Brown, Don Garlitz, Don Highland, Tony Nancy, and K.S. Pittman. And of course, moving on, look at the old Dos Palmas car there. That's a great little photograph with the Keith Williamson and the Goodnight team. And of course, that's now been renovated and is over in the States, and it would be nice to see that over here once again. You never know what might develop and transpire over the months. Don Highland with the Parasite. That was a real quick American drag bike, twin engine Triumph, 1070, 132 mile an hour on an unprepped track. And of course the stockers of Ronnie Socks with the Comet and George Montgomery. Of course, we've just lost George, unfortunately, but still honoured in the International Hall of Fame there. But that's a nice little memento from that event, because even though I was only 4 years old, I was there, and boy, did it rain on that one event. But there we go. So we move into the next level, and talking of sound stories, there's the a special cassette that was put together by NDRC covering the 1975 Tourline European Funny Car Championship that was run at Snetterton Drag Strip, which later became known as Sugarbeet County Raceway when Santa Pod ran it in the 1979 after NDRC decided not to continue running at that Norfolk venue. So that's nice to listen to again, and hearing the dulcet tones of the late Alan Wigmore, a man that I really looked up to in my commentating days in the early part of the 90s. I just wanted to be like Alan Wigmore, but I don't think anybody can copy the old master. But there we go. Moving on. There's a couple of the Corgi cars in their original boxes. Now the sneaky glowworm Capri that Santa Pod used to race, I've actually got that box signed on the reverse by Roy Phelps, so that makes it a little bit special. Of course, that car got ridden off at a stock car meeting of all places at Walthamstow, I'm led to believe, when it was on display in the centre green, and an errant stock car ploughed into the side of it, ending its days very quickly. Moving on is, well, Corgi put it out as a stock car. I would like to think it's a drag racing Corvette myself. That's the yellow car behind. That's just been reissued by the Corgi Club, and one of these days I'm going to get hold of a copy of that. But that's a reproduction box that I managed to find on eBay, so it just sets it off quite nicely. And that's what it was based off in the I think 67 when that came out, and a little bit earlier for the red Corvette without the AGAS 2 decals on the side. I think that was about 65 when that came out. So moving on, we've got a couple of reproduction Santa Pod patches from the 70s, and the Britain's drag bike, modelled on Alf Hagen's world pioneering bike. You can just see it just there, much of a collector's item, and it's a nice one to have in the collection. And that is the original box there as well, that I've kept all these years and managed to keep together. Not too much known about the four-engined car, but it's a Mustang, or that's as much as I do know. I think it was based on the Tommy Ivo Showboat. I think there was two of these over in the States that did exhibition runs, but this was made by a Italian manufacturer called Polystil, and I don't think there's too many of these around either, so I'm very pleased to have that, because Polysteel just used to produce Formula 1 die-cast replicas in the 70s, so that's great to have in the collection. That's the beach bug. I thought I'd just throw that in there because that's a corgi one. Now the Pepsi Pinto, that was based on a Matchbox car, and I have it over the other side here, which we'll go into in a few moments. But I picked that up off eBay not so long ago for a few pennies, and I thought, well, yeah, okay, it's not original, but it's very nice, with all those period decals on there as well. So whoever done that has done a nice job on it, I think. Then we've got the organ grinder Mustang, which was based on the chassis of the Glowworm Capri. As you can see, it's very, very similar to the Capri funny car, with the driver and of course the engine, but the exhaust poking up through the bonnet there. That's great stuff. Actually, I've got two of those in the collection at the moment. Then we've got this Mercury Cougar that Matchbox put out, and moving on to the dragsters. That one I will restore eventually. I bought that off eBay. Sadly, I didn't realise at the time, but it's only got 3 exhaust pipes on that side, 3 header pipes, so I've got to manufacture one of those. But I'm going to try and put it back into its original colours, with its original decals and the original gold colour on the side as well, because Corgi did try and do something, but they're paper decals and they're not very good. They scratch very easily, but I think this one I've had since I bought it in 1971 for I don't know, 2 shillings and 6pence or something like that. But anyway, there we go. It's still nice to have in the collection. There's Dennis Priddle's Radio Luxembourg dragster. I only picked that up recently, and you can see that the American version of Tom McEwen's car was based on the moulds, or the actual tooling, from the British Corgi dragsters. So I think the American Corgi arm, can't remember the exact name of who produced them, picked up the tooling and produced a few of these American inspired dragsters. I think there was a Don Garlett's dragster as well, which I haven't managed to locate, but there was 3 in the series. I've got the catalogue in the Shed of Dreams. We'll go through that one day and pick out some of the other classic cars that were there. There's 2 Matchboxes. They tried to do something like the Zingers, the MPC models from the 70s that was featured in Hot Rod and Carcraft, and they come up with these little natty wild examples with the big engines sitting in the door slammer type body styles there. There's the Matchbox funny cars. There's the Pinto. That was what it was originally. This is called Mulligan's Mill. So that's how it was produced and marketed by Matchbox, along with the Mustang funny car there as well. So that's all good stuff. So I've kept those. I've got the boxes for all of those as well. So that makes it a little bit special. So moving on. Of course, we've got everybody's favourite car that Hot Wheels produced. You know, you could not get any of these for the love of money. And then all of a sudden you go into a Tesco somewhere and in the box is 2 of them. But we've now got one in the collection. One still in its original packaging, and the other one here in the trophy cabinet. Moving on. This is a very special one indeed. This is Ed Shaver's AMX Hot Wheels car that was sponsored by John Wolf Racing. Now this is an original. It was specially done around 1971, but the decals were actually paper stickers. I managed to track down on eBay, so I've managed to renew the stickers on this particular example because they were very tatty indeed, very dirty, and I wanted to have a much pristine example in the collection. And it's also got the original Hot Wheels button lapel badge as well. I've seen that this is valued at anything without the packaging for about £500 or more, which is quite incredible. So I'm not getting rid of it just yet, but I wonder how many of these lurk around in people's Hot Wheels cabinets. But there we go. So we'll just pan over here to some of the lapel badges that we've got. Apera, they did one. National Drag Racing Association, Santa Pod Raceway, and of course the Pennine Drag Racing Club. They're all very, very collectible, and of course that very special sticker for a very special friend that we all lost, Steve Moxley, photojournalist. I've known Steve for a very long time, and we always chatted, we always talked drag racing, drag bikes, what was coming up, and I used to keep him in the picture of everything that was happening at Avon Park and Shakespeare County Raceway. And it's just an honour just to have that special decal in the cabinet to honour my friend. So there we go. Right, I'm going to get off the stool now, so hopefully the camera won't shake too much now. Let's just move it out of the way. Sorry about that. There's another little LP. Well, it's an EP, a 45 from Sound Stories again, called the Sprint Special, and it's with Charlie Rouse, who was a very famous sprinter, and commentary by Peter Arnold, a very famous name in commentary from the world of speedway and also sprinting and drag racing. It's formed in its early years. So that's I picked that up off eBay. You see, it's amazing what you can find when you look at things on eBay. So moving on, we've got the organ grinder again. The Adams. I don't know what Corgi were doing when they were thinking of this 4-engine dragster, but it's quite unusual to say the least. But there you go. I've got the original box for that. Moving behind, I love drag racing at Avon Park. How many of those are kicking around, I wonder? There's a couple of items. A Conrod that was turned into a runners-up trophy that wasn't collected at one of the Shakespeare County Raceway events, but I've hung on to it ever since. Keyring from the BDRA World Finals in 1980. Steve Young gave me that quite recently. Dinky produced the only dragster, which was now that little orange box is the firing mechanism. You'd jab the back of the dragster into the mechanism and release the little button, and it'll go spinning off across the carpet or the slab outside or whatever, you know. But that was quite unusual. They did produce the packaging with the NHRA logo on first off, and then all of a sudden it disappeared. Whether it was down to contractual reasons, I don't know. But I haven't managed to get one with the NHRA logo, the old type with the dragster and the funny car on it. But it was just in that space there. But as you can see, it's disappeared now. So, that was picked up for about £30, I think it was. So, but nevertheless, still good to have. There's the original NDRC Randall that was made famous in 1971 when NDRC came into existence. I've had that on many jackets, but I've managed to keep hold of that original, which I'm pleased to have, along with a few other NDRC decals. In another video, we'll go through some of the decals that was issued over the years. There's the Corgi Jet Dragster that
I've seen some battered ones on eBay recently where the nose cone's missing or bent, and it's all been scratched, and but that one's pretty much mint. And that had an NDRC decal on the side of it. The original car came over in 71 and also 72 with a guy called Arnie Sundquist, and I think that's got to be Europe's first jet dragster. And it was quite a heavy old beast, but still set records all over the place. Ran at Santa Pod and also at Elvington in those years of 71, 72. Corgi did re-release that as Captain America's jet dragster, but I don't really want that one in the collection. I'd rather have the original. That's a white metal kit of the Pink Panther of Malcolm Olley's jet dragster. I had that unbuilt for a number of years, and then 2 years ago I decided no, it needs to be built, it needs to be put back together, and that's my version of it. Luckily I was able to find some more reproduction decals on eBay, because the other ones were virtually toast, unfortunately. But there we go. They did produce, I think it was LSD or something like that, white metal kits. Lawrence Davey design. I'd have to have a look, see what they know. But they did produce one of the Barry Bowles rocket dragster. I haven't managed to track one of those down yet, but one day I'll find it. Now these are Johnny Lightning funny cars that I've got all the original blister packs for, but I thought I would put those in the display cabinet. There's some more of Corgi's range, the American range of Jim Epler's Rug Doctor, and also Chuck Etchell's Kendall funny car. And immediately behind there is a participation hot rod reunion dash plaque, and also a thanks to the race fans for supporting Daryl Gwynn over the years when he had his nasty crash at Santa Pod in 1990. So they brought a load of these badges over to raise funds for Daryl while he was convalescing at Stoke Mandeville, and I've had that one ever since. So that's just nice to have in the collection. That's I've got that for £1 at the local auto jumble. That's a Hot Wheels one. Never seen it before, but it's always nice to have some Hot Wheels funny cars. There's the Skull Bandit dragster of Don Prudhomme, along with his final strike lapel badge. Fast Fire and Accident Safety Teams. I've kept that one for obvious reasons. And my Hall of Fame, British Drag Racing Hall of Fame lapel badge. And then I'm a National Drag Racer. I've seen one or two of those on eBay in recent months, but they've been going for stupid prices. But I've had that one since it was issued around the mid-70s. So that's quite a nice collectible to have. Well, very quickly we move into our Formula 1 collection. These are all Corgis. There's the odd Matchbox and Dinky one in there. But now this one is Shell Oils. I think it was produced by Shell, but I don't know whether it was modelled on the one behind, which was issued by Corgi, of course, in the John Player special colours. We found that in an antique shop in, I think it was Barmouth of all places. But it was nice to have, and it was only £1, so it was £1 well worth spending on something that I'd never seen before. There's the Yardley BRM, James Hunt's Hesketh, Jackie Stewart's Tyrrell, Nigel Mansell's Williams. Moving back to remember the UOP Shadow, Jackie Oliver. Yes, that's a name from the past. Jackie Hicks's Ferrari, the IndyCar that Corgi did. They only did one, and that's been featured in a magazine just recently, and how to restore it. It looks like I'd already had a go at it, because I painted that black on the engine covers and the exhaust and turbo units. Yeah, it's quite an unusual one. IndyCar there, Surtees, and of course the 6-wheel Tyrrell, and that very special one that was commissioned by Duckham's Oil, which was another Surtees car, the Brook Bond Oxo TS19 it was based on, which you can see there, but that was in a trailered set with a Daytona, Ferrari Daytona, as the tow vehicle, so that was good to have. Right, moving down to the next level with some few classic race cars. I'll just move the stool out of the way so I don't fall over it. There we go. Right. Van Walls, BRMs, Maseratis, Connaughts. Now this is quite an unusual one, because it's not made by who you think it would be. Let's just bring it into shot. This was issued by Crescent Toys. 2.5 litre Gordini Grand Prix car. I think it's something that Dad found in at an auto jumble or something. He was going to restore it, like he's done with the Talbot Largo just there. I think that's the Talbot. Let's just have a quick look. I think all the Talbots were blue back. Yeah, Talbot Largo, spot on, by Dinky Toys. That's another good one. What's the one behind? HWM. Look at that, all fully restored. So those are all good to have in the collection. Cooper Bristol. Of course, these are fetching quite vast sums of money these days. And that's one I'm particularly fond of. That's a little Junior Formula 3 car back in the day, which was all Coopers. Rear engine with Jap engines or other motorcycle engines, and they still race cars like this. You've probably seen one of my albums at Mallory Park where these cars have been running around that circuit. And of course, speaking of Mallory Park, I picked up this reserved car parking sticker that you put into your window to reserve your space at the circuit. So that's quite good to have. A record that I've not actually listened to as of yet. I've purchased it, but it'll come out of the sleeve one day. That's the Mercedes at Alton Park, recorded by Sound Stories again, with commentary by Neville Lloyd and interviews by Lawrence Pomeroy from 1958. Wow, some of these Sound Stories LPs and EPs are quite collectible these days. There's the old Marshall's armband that we all wore in the 70s. A couple of NSRA souvenirs, along with the Street Racers, Boy Racer series, from Corgi. Got the original box for that. I don't think there's too many of those about these days. The old Cologne Capri, Datsun 240Z rally car of Tony Fall, a Triple X Rover from the touring car days, some more of our classic Corgis, Coopers, BRMs, Ferrari, the old Courier Cos Transporter. I've got two of those. Sadly, I haven't got the box, but they're still very much collectible and are still fetching some good prices. Mercedes behind, Connaught. So yeah, great stuff. I think that's got to be a collectible one. Autosport magazine badge from the 60s. I don't know where I got that one from. Oh, there's the Corgi Model Club badge that I've had since when I joined in the 60s. And they used to have a page in TV21 comic. Remember that? TV21, with all the stories from Jerry Anderson, Thunderbird, Stingray and Captain Scarlet. Wow.
So moving down is the NASCARs with Bill Elliott's Ford Thunderbird in the Coors livery colours, taking pride of place, along with a couple of 50s NASCARs there. David Pearson. Then we go into some of the, I think these are from the 90s. Yeah, I'd say these are 90s collection cars of Bill Elliott again, Ernie Irvine, Rusty Wallace, Alan Kawicki, Mark Martin. So I used to be, well, still am, I still watch NASCAR on Viaplay, but I don't sort of collect the models as I used to. And then we got some of the bigger ones down here with the Star Wars and Star Trek liveries, Quaker State of Ricky Rudd, and some reproduction helmets, and also the special that I think Johnny Lightning or Hot Wheels put together in honour of Richard Petty. So there we go. That's just some of the collection. There are others and other makes that we'll go through one day when I've recharged the battery in the camera. But I thought I'd just while I'm on my own here today, I thought I'd just sort of go through some of the stuff that I've got. I've got another cabinet behind me, which we'll go through on another day because there's some more golden moments in there as well. So I'll sign off, and hopefully you've enjoyed it. I'll try and improve it as we go along, but and hopefully you'll have enjoyed it on Facebook. So I'll see you at the track sometime, or at a show or function. So thanks for watching, guys, and I'll see you very soon.